Good evening. Slightly different time of the day for me here. It's just Patrick coming to you live from Complete Health, and I really wanted to jump on and talk about something that I find so important, because actually what I've noticed is how much of a change this seems to be having on some of my clients and some of the top benefits of why social interaction is so important and how does it physically affect our health. Now, what we know about the World Health Organization, they have a definition, or what they give the definition of health is, and this is one of my first things to talk about with a client, or first things that I will discuss with a client during one of our health talks. And the saying goes like this, and this is the definition set out to us by the World Health Organization, who is in charge of setting the medical standards across the globe. And the definition goes like this: complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely just the absence of disease. So why is this so important? Now, there are a few things that happen to our brain when we're in a social scenario. And this is risen when you're actually face to face with someone, you're actually present with them, and actually changes more, even more, when we're actually able to touch and interact with someone. Now, I know touch is maybe a little bit of a sensitive subject right now, but actually being present with someone has a change on our brain. Now, there are a few neurotransmitters. Now, these are the hormones that our brain produces in order to send certain signals so we can feel things in a certain way. Now, one of the main ones is oxytocin. Now, oxytocin is the hormone that our body produces when we feel love and affection. We also produce serotonin and dopamine. Now, what these hormones have actually been linked to is reduced levels of depression, anxiety, and stress. Now, on the contrary, they are linked to reducing those levels of things, but they're also actually linked to increased levels of love, happiness, but here's the trick: longevity and a sense of life purpose. Tell me, how important are all of those things to most people? We all want to live longer. We all want to live a more fruitful life. We all want to be happy. And all of us want to be less depressed, especially right now, because the levels of mental health have risen almost over 100%. Have almost risen over 100% in the last 6 months. Now, some of the other massive benefits of social interaction, especially when we look at stuff like exercise, is it can actually start to increase people's health habits. Most people, when they're exercising with someone else, they're much more likely to actually work a little bit harder. If they're surrounded by people who have got a similar mind frame or frame of mind, they're actually more likely to improve in those areas as well. Just think about it. Something like Weight Watchers, having that social encouragement and grouping together helps to actually bring you up and raise you to other levels. So when we look at social interaction, why it's so important, in the areas that it can actually improve in your health, we've actually listed a lot of them, but let's just be brutally honest, it massively helps us with our social and mental well-being. It gives us a sense of purpose. It improves our physical health. By the way, if we're producing more things like oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine, it means we're producing less things like adrenaline and cortisol, which are our stress hormones. Now, what we know is when we produce serotonin and oxytocin, our body goes into a state of rest, which actually means that our body can start to recover, so our body can actually heal in those areas. Whereas if we're high on adrenaline and cortisol, our body's actually getting ready to run, attack, or fight. And our body then doesn't conserve energy to do these things. So it's worth looking at your social interaction and keeping yourself in a bubble, because pubs are open, you can congregate with your friends so long as you are safe. And it's super important that we're safe and we respect other people's opinions, but it's also super important that all of us take care of our own mental well-being and our own health and actually keep ourselves healthy. And like I say, the real definition of health, the true definition of health, is complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease. And this is set out by the World Health Organizations that are currently oppressing these kinds of behaviors. A little bit of food for thought, a very deep one. Like I say, slightly different time of the day for me to jump on the camera. If you guys know someone that can benefit from this, please spread the message, because what we want to ensure, and by the way, I'm not saying go against any of the rules that we've got set out or guidelines we've got set out, but it is definitely worth considering keeping a social profile, staying in touch with your friends and family, because it's super important to keep our mental health well. Until tomorrow, guys, I will speak to you again soon. Take care.